In Memphis, we know a thing or two about resilience. From the grindhouse to the Delta, we protect what's ours. But when pests invade your home, it's time to fight back. Grade A Pest knows how to handle what crawls, flies, and bites. With local experience and guaranteed results.
I'm Reggie with Grade A Pest Control. We service the Memphis metro area. That also includes DeSoto and Fayette County as well.
Grade A Pest has the entire Mid-South covered. So if bugs and pests put you to the test, let Grade A solve your problem. In Memphis, nothing comes easy, and that's exactly how we like it. This is a city built on hustle, on heart, on grit. And at Carway, our rides are built the same way. Tough, reliable, ready for the grind. No games, no gimmicks, just Memphis-style service. Real, honest, and built on trust. Where grit meets grind, you meet your next ride. Carway, grit, grind, and pink beetles.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of On the Bluff. I'm your host, Christian Fowler. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Gabe Kuhn, our producer, Kenny Stubblefield. Boys, how we doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing well. It's been a hell of a day in Memphis, man.
Yeah.
It's been a hell of a day. And really a hell of a couple of weeks. Are y'all, I mean, don't know about your streets. Is everybody all good now at this point?
Dude, I'm so tired of being inside.
Oh, my gosh. My kids have another day off of school. It's been almost 2 weeks of no school.
I mean, can we be honest? It's silly.
Yeah,
sucks. It is silly that this taking this long.
I've talked about it a few times with like family and friends and everything. It's cool when what we usually get, right? It snows a little bit. It's pretty for like a day or two, and then
melts immediately.
It's gone, and then it's gone, and it's like, oh, remember that? That was cool.
That was fun.
Like, when was the last time we got any snow? Was like Sunday morning.
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Well, Sunday, a little Sunday. Sunday.
Yeah.
But like, this is too much. We're not in the Midwest. We're not in the North. Like, this is not cool. Not for us. And y'all got y'all's interstates cleared in Tennessee. In Mississippi, it was still a wreck until like three days ago, maybe. Like, all the interstates down here.
Sweet. It should not. Like, somebody's got to do something about it.
Yeah,
like it just blows my mind. We're letting kids be out of school for 2 weeks. We haven't picked up my trash, brother. I have a 14-month-old dog.
Yeah.
Like,
you got diapers.
You got dirty
diaper pail.
Yeah.
Them diapers. Like, I feel like hell for the next garbage man that has to come pick up my trash, dog.
Yeah. Are the kids going back to school?
Stayed on the street. I ain't putting that near my house.
No, mine aren't.
No,
they're out again. They were out. They haven't gone to school since Friday 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't think DeSoto County is going to go back. I don't know if they'll go back this week. Like, I haven't gotten out the last 2 days. I felt terrible since Sunday, so I haven't gotten out of the house. But my dad called me today. He was like, "Yeah, we're driving by neighborhoods and they're still terrible."
Yeah,
and they're not going to send them back until the neighborhoods and everything are cleared. Like, this is It's not cool anymore. It was cool for 2 days, almost
I don't
2
even know it
weeks.
was
Not
cool
cool.
then. What could you do with the snow?
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, no.
You ain't making any snowmen,
No,
like
but you know,
it's
like that.
igloos. You'd have to cut out some ice and make igloos with this.
Yeah,
You know,
like
ice fishing.
the old nostalgia feeling of just like, oh, it's snowy outside. We get in the house, get cozy. Like that's cool for like a day or two, but then it's like, all right, I'm gonna
Start
go
wiggling
crazy.
your toes, get your nice thick socks out.
Right.
Hey, by the way, we have some breaking news. You want to hear the breaking news?
Oh
Yeah.
shit! What is it?
James Harden has been traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, I
That's
saw
so-
that today. I don't get why. Why does James Harden want out? Like, what? It feels like the Clippers just got their shit together.
Why would you rather have James Harden than Darius Garland right now?
And honestly, like, haven't we for the last 2 years talked about Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland's fit next to each other?
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's not perfect, but like James Harden and Donovan Mitchell,
Same thing.
the usage rate. Well, I mean, I think it's a little lesser. Like Darius Garland's at least willing to defer. James
That's what I'm
Harden,
saying. No.
really
I'm saying like Donovan Mitchell and James Harden are both ball dominant.
Yes,
heavy
like,
usage, but like it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. I guess. Well, you could have one of them on the floor at every given time, and that could
I
make
guess.
sense.
Take
That's
James
not how
Harden
it's gonna
back
work.
to
He's gonna
6th man of the
start
year.
and play next to him. I don't
Yeah.
get it, man.
I don't either.
And I don't get why James Harden's like forcing himself out. That's the hottest team in the NBA right now, the Clippers.
I don't get it.
Hey, I do want to send a big shout out to everybody that's in the comment section. Joel Pettit is here, and let me tell you about Joel. This man is on all of our. He's a commenter on all of our Grizzlies shows, and Joel is one of the best trolls ever. And so when he says, "So what do you guys make of the Jitty trade?" That is such a good troll job, Joel. And I promise you, we are going to talk about the trade today. We're going to talk about it, even though that's not normally what we do on this show. We're going to talk about it because it is Memphis related,
Brother. John Conchar made it 7 years in Memphis, dog.
dude. He is like a
he got through his entire second contract, damn near, man.
He's a damn cockroach, bro.
Listen, I'm just gonna say this. All right, the fit with the Jazz. Come on, man.
Perfect.
Like it just makes sense. There's things that make sense.
That
makes sense.
John Conchar on the Utah Jazz makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, and like Kenny said, we will talk about it in the hot three, but
They'll love on him.
yeah. But first, we got to talk Memphis, University of Memphis basketball. I don't know, guy. I mean, I've said so much. I gave my thoughts really early. Usually, I kind of hold ammo back, and I'm not someone that I still didn't make like great declarations or proclamations early in the season, but I was very open and honest weeks ago about how I felt, and I didn't really hold back too much. I was hoping it didn't come back and bite me, and the team didn't turn it around, and I sound like an idiot. Or maybe I was, because it'd be more fun to talk about a good team, but it hasn't turned around. It's only gotten worse. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about a turning point in the season, and would the next few games change the season for the better, and it's only gotten worse. It's just gotten uglier, coming off of a last-second loss against Tulane, in which no one looked very interested to stop a wide-open layup, which is not something you see at really any level of basketball. So to see it against Memphis is kind of mind-boggling. But here we are. Memphis is below 500 through 21 games. They're 10-11. It's the worst team of the Penny Hardaway era,
bar none.
By far, in my opinion. And I don't know. It's not good. It doesn't seem to be getting any better. It's obviously not trending upward. It's just a bad product being placed out on the floor. And honestly, feel bad for Memphis fans, because we have not seen a team this bad since Tubby.
Can I take y'all through a hypothetical situation?
Go for it.
Say there's 14, 15 seconds on the clock, tied 76-76. All right, you make a basket to tie it there. And you know that a guy on the other team has 25 points, and he's their main ball handler. And he has taken it coast to coast on you a couple of times during the game.
Yeah.
What's like the coaching point that you would give to somebody who inbound the ball to him in that situation? Like what coaching point would you give to the defenders on the other side? Like what would you say?
I mean, I think you can go as simple as don't let that guy beat us.
Yes.
Hey,
okay.
Pick him up at half court, or
You know what I was looking for?
Trap him there, or
You know what I was looking for? I was looking for stop ball.
Yeah, I mean,
what in? I know I've like come in here and talked about situational awareness, right? Where I think it was a Temple game. They ended up winning, but there was one point where they had a 2-3 zone and they're trying to switch their, space where they're supposed to be on the floor mid possession, and the Gavin Griffiths guy goes right down the middle and dunks. And with 6 minutes left, Zach Davis, I think, fouled a guy in transition frustration to put them into the bonus, which could have mattered. That takes the cake, dog. What we saw on Sunday.
That's hard to top.
I could not believe my eyes, man. Like, Doug McDaniel was in a position to step in the way and stop the ball, at the very least, make it tougher. Didn't do it. Zach Davis was defending like it was like he had 4 fouls and there was 8 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
Didn't even try to foul him, at the very least, make it harder on him. And then on the other end, when they inbound the ball, like Penny taking a timeout or not, whatever. We can go back and forth about taking a timeout in that situation and not. Usually I would, to set up, especially for this team. They need some organization
because they're bullshit, because they suck.
But what gets me is they don't even get up a shot on the other end.
Yeah.
With 7 seconds to go. This team, they compound being not very good by lacking situational awareness. And that is the kiss of death for any basketball team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dude. I mean, it's gotten so bad, dude. They are closer right now. They are closer to not making the conference tournament than they are to being in the top 2.
Oh, God. I didn't realize that. That's gross. They're what, 8th?
They're 8th in the conference, and I think 10 teams make it. This is turning into a dumpster fire of a season. And I don't think necessarily that it is I'm sad about it, because I have to be able to separate my childhood experience growing up watching Penny Hardaway play basketball, kind of being introduced to NBA basketball by Penny Hardaway. I've called him basketball Jesus to me. Like, he's basketball Jesus to me. Like, he introduced me to my favorite sport of all time. And recognizing that this thing is getting so bad here, and it only has one way to really go at this point. And I don't think necessarily that Penny is helping himself with comments that he's making. I think that there are it's a kind of a running joke with the Memphis media when you talk to somebody who covers the football team and covers the basketball team of, isn't it much more fun to cover Penny Hardaway because you know you're going to get really good comments and quotes out of him because he's an unfiltered dude, right? You don't get that on the football side of things. You might now with Charles Huff as the head coach. You might get more. It looks like potentially that spring practice is going to be open to media and to fans to come and watch, which is awesome. Like, awesome.
Hadn't happened since Norvell.
Yeah, and he's really good about like community outreach and with media outreach. I've been impressed with Charles Huff.
Yeah,
he'll be on my show tomorrow, by the way. Shameless plug. 5
shout out. Oh, where's that at? Where can people find that?
92.9 FM ESPN, 680 AM, or you can go to the Odyssey app.
Shout out. But I just it is. Last night at his radio show, y'all kind of highlighted a quote that he said on your show today, Gabe. Christian, you were on talking to him. There was one that I heard that I was just like, oh my God. So when he talked about recruiting the players that are on this team, and he said, I literally only had to recruit them for like a day. I called them and they were here the next day. And I'm like, Penny?
Bad sign.
Penny? That ain't good, bro.
Yeah.
It was like there's not that many takers out there.
It was like the guys that were playing, the guys that are on your team now are guys that were getting recruited by Harding University or Ouachita Baptist University. And then Penny calls in like, well, hell yeah, I'll go play for Penny. I'll get a little bit of coin coming my way. I mean, it's just rough, man. It's just rough.
But here's the thing. I've seen this take thrown out there. This idea that Penny Hardaway's completely lost his touch in recruiting. Now, I think there's a lot of things to break down there. one, it's not as easy as it once was for Penny, right? He can't just walk in and waltz in without the same amount of money as the other schools that are recruiting said recruit and say, I'm Penny Hardaway, come to Memphis. Like, that's not working anymore. So I think there's a bit of a money issue when we're talking about the peers that Memphis has been with historically in power conferences.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think recruiting 15 guys he was way in over his head this offseason. I think there's a reason that he reached out to guys that were easy because he needed to fill a roster, and he needed to fill a roster fast.
Yeah.
So, like, spending time on any one recruit was probably a little bit too much because he didn't have time on his side to recruit 15 new players. So, like, I hear that, like, that idea. I want to know y'all's thoughts, though. Like, I think there's a lot of people that have this idea that he's lost his touch completely recruiting, but I think there are extenuating circumstances that are being ignored when people are throwing that out there. With
What do you think
money,
those are? What do you think those are?
Say it again.
I said, what do you think those are?
I think money is a big one because he's still got more seemingly more talent than the rest of this conference. It's just not gelling together.
I don't even buy that argument anymore. I don't think this team is more talented than every team in the American Conference.
But they got bigger name guys, is I guess more of what I'm getting at. Maybe not as more talent, but they've gotten bigger name guys. Aaron Bradshaw probably had some other, bigger schools, looking at him. Doug McDaniel probably had some feelers out there. I'm not talking, whoever it is, Michigan or Arizona, who are at the top of college basketball right now, but he probably had some feelers in the lower power conferences. But I think there's that. I also think, truthfully, and he's admitted this a million times, I think he sunk way too much into PJ Haggerty and Dayton Danger this offseason, and that really killed him. Yeah. I think he spent way too much time on them and not enough time on new acquisition.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think he's lost it by any means. Trey's right. Gabe does have a fresh cut.
Thank you. I was waiting for y'all to give me a compliment, man.
It's not too often the big fella cleans it up, but he is.
Yeah, it was needed, brother. Needed.
And I'm in the complete other direction. I'm working on my fro over here. But to your point, Gabe, no, I don't think he has lost it in recruiting by any means. And I don't know what the answer is. Kenny talked about a second ago saying everybody that is at Memphis right now, it took a day and they were like, yeah, coming to Memphis. So what does that tell us? Like, what can we glean from that? And yeah, inference can be dangerous and stuff, but let's just look at it. Okay. If you're saying that everyone came here, it took a day to get them there. Have you gotten to, do you think too much of your own evaluations at that point? Have you gotten too cocky in recruiting to where that you say, I looked at this guy, I want him, I call him, he's coming in? Like, is there too much cockiness there? Is there too much, yeah, we know what we're doing when it comes to recruiting? Are you still doing your due diligence at that point? I don't know. If you look at what we have in front of us, which is this roster and those comments, is what we have right now. It almost seems like he kind of feels like whoever we bring in here,
we can develop
them and make a good team out of them. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time recruiting all these guys. If I can just go call somebody and say, hey, do you want to come to Memphis? And they're in the city the next day. To me, that shows that you aren't doing your due diligence in recruiting, that quote. And then looking at this team shows me that you're not doing your due diligence in recruiting and that you're not going out there and finding some of the diamonds in the rough. And you're not looking at everybody as a whole, but you're looking at players as individuals and saying, we can make them work. We can make them work. We can make them work. But are you looking at it as a whole and saying we can make all of this work together? So no, I don't think he's lost a step in recruiting. I think Penny can still be as good as the money at Memphis allows him to be in recruiting, which obviously there's a ceiling to that. There's a cap to that. It's not what it was when he was getting the #1 high school classes in the country. So all that to say, yes, I'm confident in his recruiting as a whole. But if we're just looking at those pieces of evidence, it shows me that there's not as much legwork being put in, that there is some arrogance there in recruiting, and that, hey, we can call anybody we want. We can get them here and we can make a good team out of that, which he's done. he's done a really good job of having pillars of a program and building out with players that, guys don't really know, common fans don't know the names of these players, and he's put together good rosters with that. But I just feel like there might have been some arrogancy there, and there wasn't the scouting put in, there wasn't the legwork put in. All that may not be true. I have no idea. We're not behind the scenes. But if I look at the evidence that's given to me, which, like I said, is the product that we're seeing night in, night out for 21 games, and some of the quotes that have come out, then it at least the inference leads to there might be some arrogancy there. There might be some cockiness there of it doesn't matter who we get. Give me warm bodies and we can turn them into a competitive team. And that has not worked this year.
I just want to dig in on that a little bit, because let's assume that the legwork's not being put in the same way. 15 new guys, putting in the legwork on 15 new guys is tough to do, which gets me back to what I've been talking about this entire season. He needs someone in his corner to take some of that off of his plate. Now, Here's my thing. I don't know if Penny Hardaway and who he is as a recruiter and who he has shown to be over the years, I don't know if he can take someone else, another cook in the kitchen, telling him, hey, we need to go recruit this guy. Hey, we need to offer this guy. But a general manager, to Grizz Girl, shout out. And maybe you've been listening to the show. But I mess with the idea of a general manager, because we've talked about it multiple times. Something has to change, because what was done this year can't. And listen, I can't even predict the future going into next year about Penny Hardaway. But I can tell you, if Penny Hardaway's a coach going into next year, this shit that happened this year is not going to fly ever again.
Yeah, I got some other quotes that I want to talk about. Then we'll move on to the hot. A lot of people are wanting to hear our thoughts on the Jaren Jackson trade. But let's talk about these quotes real quick, and then we will get to it. Just a couple from the weekly radio show. I will be the last person ever to damage this program in any way, shape, or form, which I think is fair. Whatever that one, I don't take a ton of on that one. But these next two, they speak a little bit louder to me. You don't want to feel like people are against you in your hometown or at your school. At the end of the day, people know why I do this. It doesn't excuse me from anything, but I'm doing it for the right reason. It guts me every time we lose. I want us to be a part of the elite. I feel like we can really turn it around. And I think the people really pushing for us all out 100%, because they understand things can happen. The more you support the team, support me, the better we're going to be. Penny does this every time that there's some hot water under him. Anytime that he's getting scrutiny, anytime that he's being criticized, he flips it back to everyone knows how much I love this city. I'm from here. I played here. I love this place. And I get that. I know he does. There's no one's questioning if you love the city of Memphis. We all know that you do. But to say, at the end of the day, people know why I do this. It doesn't excuse me from anything, but I'm doing it for the right reason. Just because you're doing it from the right reason does not mean that you cannot be criticized when there's a total failure on the floor. And I think most people are pretty fair when it comes to the judgment of Penny Hardaway, because I think we all love Penny Hardaway. You can't really be from the city and not love Penny. But at the same time, I just see a difficulty with him taking ownership when there are bad things happening with the basketball team. And I don't understand. I can't wrap my mind around it, because saying the more you support the team, the more you support me, the better we're going to be. That's just not how it works. And maybe that monetarily, yes. If he's talking about monetarily and NIL and stuff like that, then yeah, absolutely. But as far as I think sometimes he feels like he's above criticism, and that when he is criticized, he has to turn it back and remind everybody, I've got enough money. I don't need to be here. I'm doing this because I love the city and I love the University of Memphis, and that's why I'm doing it. And that's great, right? I think everybody loves the fact that Penny came back to coach his hometown team. But the fact of the matter is, when you put this product out on the floor and you are 10-11 in a terrible conference, they have the 10th. When you go look at the record, they have the 10th worst record in this conference. Let me put that into perspective. They have the 10th worst record in the conference, behind Tulsa, Charlotte, Temple, South Florida, Florida Atlantic, Wichita State, UAB, Tulane, and North Texas. The only teams in this conference they have a better record than I'm not talking conference. I'm talking overall record, a better winning percentage than are Rice, who is 9-13, ECU, who is
These
7
names are going to get gross.
ECU, who's 7-15, and UTSA, who's 4-17, and one of the worst teams in the entire country. That's the only 3 teams in the conference where they have a better record than. So I get it. I know you're here for the right reasons. But this is not acceptable, and you should not deflect when people are critical of this team because this team is awful. They are 10-11 in one of the worst conferences in the country. This conference sucks. The top 2 teams are Tulsa and Charlotte at 7-2 in the conference. Conference is terrible.
When he does this, I think he has a tendency to just like take everything that is said personally, in the sense that it's an attack against Penny Hardaway, the man.
Yes.
When in reality, it's not about Penny Hardaway, the man. It's about Penny Hardaway, the coach, and what you have done so far this year. And what you have done so far this year is sit at 8th in the 10th best conference, so bad in the country, and you are 10-11. You have a losing record. You're under 500. And I hate to say it this way, but this is how it reads to me at times. And I know in other markets with other coaches, if they said something like this is how they would talk about it openly. But with Penny, sometimes it becomes tough because of the attachment to the city and everything else. It's got a little bit of a victim mentality written all over it. It really does. When things are going well, I don't really have to deal with you guys. You are all rallying behind me and don't have to address you. When it's going badly and people are coming after me, oh no, now I have to speak on this. And I have to let it be known that this is not right. This is not okay to do. No, when you were bad, criticism's going to happen. Just like conversely, when you're good, you get praised.
Yep.
Both happen. Both have happened under Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you pointed these out because this has happened all too often. And dare I say it's a bit old. It really is. When things are going well, he gets praise. Everything's good. When things are going bad, the fans have to be talked to. No, the fans are well within the right to feel the way they feel right now. The fans are well within their right not to show up to a, Tuesday night game against UTSA or what have you. I want more people in the stadium. I want more people in FedEx Forum, but that's just the reality of the situation when you don't hold up your end of the bargain.
Yeah.
There's a quote here. There's a question here, and like you said, Gabe, none of the critique on Penny Hardaway is personal. It's not about Penny the man. We all know the good things that Penny Hardaway has done in this city to help underprivileged kids, to help neighborhoods. He's done so much. He does so much still to this day. But Grizz Girl wants to know. We have seen him develop individual players to the NBA, but what is your opinion of him coaching a team?
I mean, I think overall, and I've been on the positive side for Penny the majority of his time at Memphis. It's just there's just been a lot of inconsistencies. Like he's been really good at times, and there's been other times where you kind of throw your hands up and you go, "What's going on?" Like I just don't I don't see the vision. I don't understand the vision.
Yeah.
Penny has had good enough teams and coached good enough teams to be a Sweet 16 level team. I believe that. I think he's had 2 teams in his time at Memphis where if the ball bounced the right way, if it broke the right way for them, which most of the time doesn't have anything to do with coaching. It just, like I said, the way the ball bounces, the shots fall or they don't. I think he had 2 teams that could have went to the Sweet 16 last year and with Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams in 2023. I think, or 2022, whatever year.
Yeah, they lost to FAU. They would have had Fairleigh Dickinson.
Fairleigh Dickinson in the second round. I think both of those teams were good enough, well coached enough, whether it was untimely injuries or, whatever the crazy case on the floor may be. Both of those teams were good enough. So to me, Penny has proven to me enough that he can put together a team and coach a team well enough to where they can make at least a decently deep run in the NCAA tournament. There have also been years where you throw your hands up and you just go, what is going on? Javon Quinterly a couple years ago, that was one of those years where you just go, what's happening? This year is the best example of that, where you go, I don't know what this is that's happening in front of me, but this team is awful. And then there's also the Jalen Duren and Amani Bates year, where you started that year like that going, what is going on?
Oh, that team was so good though.
And then they get to the NCAA tournament, and they were really close to beating Gonzaga and going to the Sweet 16 that year.
So it could have been 3 teams, really.
There's really been 3 teams that were really good, that were good enough to go to the
all
Sweet
3 of
16.
the teams that got to the tournament.
Yeah. So it just to me, I think he's a good coach. I think he's done a good job for the most part across his tenure. And me and Gabe, this is how I'll explain it. I talked to Gabe about this earlier. Penny came from a high school coach to a college coach. So expectations had to be level set from the beginning, mainly weren't because it was Penny Hardaway. What you expect from a first-time collegiate coach is exponential growth and then pretty much kind of a plateau of just consistency. Some years you go deeper in the tournament, some years you don't. But once you hit that exponential growth, it's pretty consistent from that point.
Yep.
And if you look at 3 of the last 4 years, tournament teams that, like Trey's pointing out, there were a couple of things that happened where there could have been Sweet 16 teams. And last year seemed like, okay, we got this. We got this under control. 3 of the last 4 have been really good teams. And the Javon Quinterly year was probably the outlier where he had a very good team, non-conference play. They were incredible. And then the wheels just fell off the wagon. And that was the one standout. Hey, something crazy probably happened behind the scenes that caused this to happen. So it felt like he'd hit that exponential growth, plateau, consistency. This year bottoms out, lower than it's been his entire tenure. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if this is another exception to the rule or if we got to level set expectations again and it's just not going to be very good going forward. So I don't know. This doesn't follow a typical pattern or trend by any means. I know it's kind of convoluted. So all that to say, I think Penny is a good coach. I think he's done a really good job for the majority of his career. He's going to have to answer for this year, though. We're going to have to see something drastic happen next year for most people to jump back on board.
Christian, I don't think that was convoluted at all. I think that was actually very well laid out. Point being, this is the overarching point. Tell me if I'm on point here. We're past granting bail time with Penny Hardaway for a bad team or a bad performance. Because that was reserved for AAU coach to college coach for the first time, learning on the job. Once you saw that learning turn into NCAA tournaments, you say, okay, he knows how to do it. Now we have to hold him to the standard. And when you fall under that standard, you get what you get. That's how we have to discuss it. So I don't think your conversation, I don't think that was convoluted at all. Now I want to answer this real quick, and I want to get a little more like into the offensive defensive side of the things. I think Penny is a very, very good defensive coach. As long as he finds a way to get buy-in from his players and recruits the right types of players to be good on the defense side of the ball. But I think he has solid defensive schemes. He knows how to deploy a press. He seems to have when it's rolling, he seems to have guys, conditioned the right way. So I think he's a good defensive coach. Offensively, here's my question. Does he have a lead guard that he can trust or not? That's usually what it comes down to offensively, because I don't know if he schemes up offensively like a lot of other coaches would around the country.
Yeah,
right?
not usually, Gabe. Every time that Memphis has had a successful team, it's hinged upon having
successful lead guard he can trust. That's but defensively, I think he's a very good defensive mind from a basketball perspective. Offensively, I don't see that same level, but if he gets the right guys in there, an offense can be successful. And honestly, that dates back to Jeremiah Martin's first year.
Yeah.
That offense was actually, per the numbers, pretty damn good. And a lot of it was Jeremiah's doing.
Because of one player,
successful lead guard he can trust. That's what it comes down to. But that's just sort of digging in on both sides of the ball. I think Penny Hardaway's a good enough coach. I just think he, quite frankly, failed at putting together this roster.
Well, I'll say this, and we'll close it up with this. It's clearly there's only one thing you can blame on this whole situation. It's clearly the football program's fault.
God, dude. The excuse making is pretty nasty.
Yeah.
I know
Ed Scott's now like public enemy number one for Memphis basketball fans, and I don't get it. I
gotta
never understand it.
Gotta have a scapegoat. All right, boys. Well, we are going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll be back with the Hot Three. We'll talk the Jaren Jackson trade. We'll talk Super Bowl 60, and we'll talk some head coaching change in the NFL. So quick break. Be back on the other side with the Hot Three.
In Memphis, nothing comes easy, and that's exactly how we like it. This is a city built on hustle, on heart, on grit. And at Carway, our rides are built the same way. Tough, reliable, ready for the grind. No games, no gimmicks, just Memphis-style service. Real, honest, and built on trust. Where grit meets grind, you meet your next ride. Carway, grit, grind, and Pink Beetles. Wow.
That's how you do a rebuild, bro. You trade with an ass team that you know is going to be ass. And you got all their first round picks, bro, every other year. Starting next year, bro. They don't know how to be good, bro. That's how you do a rebuild, bro. You can take them same picks and trade them bitches, bro. When the rumors about Ja came out, bro, I said, I am not buying that shit. I said that on this show immediately. I said, that's how you actually move Jaren. That's how you move him, say you ain't looking to trade him. You can keep a job for him.
What's Ja staying around for?
Bro, blow this.
This trade happening this way is the sign total rebuild.
I'm gonna tell you what the Utah picks are for, bro. If we at 8 and somebody we want is at 7 or at 6, we going to get who they want in the draft, bro. They're going to get who they want in the draft. Those future picks are to move up in the draft.
Tune in to the Anthony Sain Show Monday through Fridays at 1 p.m. live on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. In Memphis, we know a thing or two about resilience. From the grindhouse to the Delta, we protect what's ours. But when pests invade your home, it's time to fight back. Grade A Pest knows how to handle what crawls, flies, and bites. With local experience and guaranteed results.
I'm Reggie with Grade A Pest Control. We service the Memphis metro area. That also includes DeSoto and Fayette County as well.
Grade A Pest has the entire Mid-South covered. So if bugs and pests put you to the test, let Grade A solve your problem. All right, let's get to it. We got the hot three, and clearly we got one big story that is dominating Memphis news today. Let me run through this trade real quick. It was about 6 minutes before the Anthony Sain Show went live today, and it sent us into a tizzy, boys. Memphis Grizzlies traded Jaren Jackson Jr., John Conchar, Vince Williams, and Jock Landale in exchange for Walter Clayton, Taylor Hendricks, Kyle Anderson, Slow-Mo himself is back in Memphis.
George Niang.
Yes, screw him. And 3 first-round picks. And this is what the first-round picks are. The most favorable 2027 pick between the Jazz, Timberwolves, and Cavaliers. The Lakers 2027 first-round pick, top 4 protected. And the Suns 2031 first-round pick, unprotected. For the guys I mentioned, Walter Clayton, Taylor Hendricks. For John Conchar, Vince Williams Jr., Jock Landale, and Jaren Jackson Jr. Boys, it's a crazy trade, right?
Yeah, I mean, signals rebuild immedially. You have 7 years worth of 13 first-round picks. And unintentionally, I think Bobby Marks put it out there. And I thought this was a great tweet because it does show, and I told Christian this earlier today, it shows the range of outcomes we could be looking at. Now, I think Zach Kleiman's a good drafter, but the 2 other teams that have 13 picks in the next 7 years are the Oklahoma City Thunder, good, and the Brooklyn Nets. So there's a range of outcomes we could be looking at. It's kind of funny. Before this hit, I was prepping for my show, And I was going through the pros and cons of a Jaren Jackson Jr. trade because last night I thought
It was
after
weird.
the game what he
It
had to
was
say was very pointed. He said he's been in contact with the front office. They've gone back and forth. And I go, well, why would you need to be going back and forth and have good contact with front office
if you're not on the block?
So it definitely got me spinning. And I was like, okay, pros and cons of keeping Jaren and trading Jaren. And I actually, weirdly enough, landed on the side of I would have rather kept Jaren. And I think what happens a lot of times with Jaren is people have focused on what he does poorly, rebounding, and they don't focus on what he's done so well.
Right.
Defensive player of the year, 2-time block champion, 2-time all-star, 22 points per game, 2 years running, the past 2 years before this year, 35% from three as a 7-footer. He can attack mismatches. Like, there's so much to like about him. I think people focus on the wrong things. I think we could make an argument that Jaren Jackson Jr. is flawed enough as a player that you are limiting your optionality with a roster, because you always have to have a natural five on the roster. You have to have a Zach Edey. You have to have a Steven Adams. You have to have a Jonas Valanciunas, or nothing's going to fit together. But I landed on the side of keeping Jaren because I figured, okay, if you're going to go into a rebuilding, retooling mode, it would be nice to have vets, because I think one of the biggest sins of Zach Kleiman in the Grizz Next Gen era, the Ja, Jaren, and Bane era, is I thought he balked at the idea of bringing in good enough vets until it was too late. And I thought he let go of the wrong guys. He just let guys walk. Kyle Anderson, Tyus Jones, goes on and on and on. And we could listen, hindsight 2020, I understand that. But, I thought that was one of the biggest sins of that era, alongside Ja doing what he did and then getting hurt. But, in the end of the day, if you're going to go into a rebuild, I just saw Anthony saying, as I on the show earlier, he said this is how you got to do it, and I do agree with him there. You have an inordinate amount of first-round assets, but you have to use them the correct way. And like I said, there is a range of outcomes that could yield, and I don't know where it's going to end up. Your guess is as good as mine. But in the end of the day, I will say this: I will miss Jaren Jackson Jr. as a Grizzly. I thought he was a great professional. When I got to hang out with him at the Tigers game, he very nice guy, very nice dude, always very courteous. I thought he was a great basketball player. He was always available. So, I just wanted to throw that out there as well. I'm not going to lose a bunch of sleep over it because they have to move into a new era. But, in the end of the day, I personally didn't think it was the perfect time to trade Jaren. I thought he would have been useful in this next iteration. But, hey, you make decisions. You have to make them on the fly, and you're not going to please everybody.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when you look at it, and I know a lot of people struggle taking the emotion out of it because Grizzlies fans love Jaren Jackson, as they should have. But now you look at it and you go, okay, this can really go one of two ways. This could be one of the best moves that the Grizzlies ever made, and they could change the trajectory for the next 10 years with this move. Or you could kind of send yourself into a tailspan of anonymity for the next 5 to 10 years, depending on how you use the assets that you have. So this is a very critical breaking point for the Memphis Grizzlies. Where do you go next? What happens? What do you use with these picks? And that's what I'm excited to see, because to me it's completely incomplete until you get 2 or 3 years down the line and you see how they use everything. Right. Because you opened up a lot of money getting rid of Jaren Jackson, and I think we all agree, right? Like, Ja is the next move that has to happen. That's the next domino that has to fall before Thursday, more than likely. So with all that open money, with all those first-round picks that Gabe talked about, what do you do? Because I think if you are going ahead and making these moves, you already have to have at least somewhat of a game plan moving forward.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously things change. You have to be liquid. You have to be fluid. But there at least has to be some vision in mind when you go, okay, we are tearing this thing down to the ground and we are rebuilding it. Because
here's what I would like to. And this is perfect world. I don't know if this is going to play out this way. And I know Anthony said something very similar earlier on the show, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Kenny, but I would really love to see them be aggressive in this year's draft because of the top-end talent that's there.
Very good top end of the draft.
like I would really appreciate them spurring the beginning of a rebuild now, like this offseason, this draft.
Yeah.
Because like I know some people have these thoughts in their brain of, okay, when's the next superstar going to become available? And do they have the assets to trade for one of those guys? Yeah, they have the assets to trade for one of those guys, but the likelihood of that happening is very low. We don't see that in Memphis all the time. Right. We don't see guys get acquired through trade that are superstars that could be 1As for the Memphis Grizzlies. So I think you're going to have to just rebuild through the draft. And here's one thing I do need to acknowledge. Even though I wanted Jaren to still be a part of this team and thought he would have been useful for whatever the next iteration was, I can't acknowledge the fact that it was done right now is probably the highest you were ever going to be able to sell Jaren Jackson Jr. off to another team. You got 3 first-round picks. You got 4 from the Desmond Bane deal. You really got some good returns from 2 players that, probably would never get that type of market ever again. So I will give Kleiman credit for that. Now, here's my question, guys. I want real opinions here. Don't hide how you feel. Do you trust Zach Kleiman to be the guy to execute this and get the Grizzlies back to that playoff window, that playoff contending window?
That's tough. I
personally don't, because I'll answer first. Sorry. I know I asked you and then didn't let you answer, but I personally don't, because I think he's a good drafter and a good developer. Like, we've seen that with the Grizzlies. But my problem is, how much has he learned from the first 8 years of trying to go get veterans and complementary pieces to surround his stars with? Yeah. Because it was bad. These last 8 years, he did not do a good job with that. No. And he let guys out the door that shouldn't have been let out the door. And, when you look at the teams that have successfully rebuilt, the Oklahoma City Thunder come to mind. You still had to go get Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency. You still had to trade Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso to really get yourself to that championship caliber team. With the Pistons right now, people are going to talk about Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren being the All-Stars, but last year was the year they finally broke through. And what did they do last offseason? Here's Tim Hardaway Jr., a vet. Here's Tobias Harris, a vet. Here's Malik Beasley, a vet. Not this year, Duncan Robinson, vet. So you have to make those complementary moves to really get yourself to that next level. And to be honest with you, Zach Kleiman has not shown any real palpable ability to do that through 8 seasons. And I if you tell me otherwise, I don't think you've been paying attention.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I do have a decent amount of confidence for him to get them back to a playoff level team, and that's just because he's done it in the past through the draft, right? Jaren.
I was a little lucky though. Let's not. Still. I was lucky.
Yes, but okay, yes, that was lucky to get the number 2 overall pick, but they have a lot more assets now to be able to get an elite caliber player, whether that be through the draft or free agency. So I have a decent amount of confidence in them getting back to being a competitive playoff level team. But can they go past, like, if they do open another window where we see that they have these pieces to build around, can he do that? And I think that's kind of what you're saying, Gabe, is those ancillary pieces are just as important as the superstars.
Correct.
Look at the teams that win championships. It's not just with 2 superstars. It's with all the pieces around them that fit together perfectly. Use the Thunder as an example. Use the Nuggets as an example for teams that had elite superstar level players, but then they filled out the rest of the roster perfectly to complement those guys. That's what Zach Kleiman's failed to do. You had the window with those 3 guys. You didn't surround them with the right players that could maximize their capabilities to truly take you into that championship level team atmosphere. I think the foundation was there to do that. I think Jaren, and Desmond were good enough, the 3 of them, to have a championship foundation, but it's those outside pieces. It's the 4 through 8 guys that you have to build around them to make it a truly championship level contending team. So all that to say, yes, I think he can do that part. I think he can do the right things, whether it's taking the big free agent swing, whether it's trading up in the draft and getting one of these 3 or 4 players in this draft that most people believe that you can build a team around. Whatever they decide is the best route for them, I think he can get to that level. I think he can get them back to a playoff level team. But what is that if you just keep doing that every 5
if it's another 8 years and one playoff series win, what are we looking at?
Yeah,
at the end of 8 years? Another full-fledged rebuild.
What are you doing?
You
Yeah,
know?
what are you doing if you're not taking those swings, if you're not taking those opportunities to take yourself from a first or second round team to someone that can get into a conference championship or potentially get into a finals? I just don't understand the point of continuing to try to be a 5 through 8 seed that maybe wins one playoff series. That doesn't make any sense to me. And you have, in my opinion, monetarily and draft pick asset wise, you have all the assets to go make a Thunder
championship move,
right? You have all the assets to do that. Are you good enough as ownership to put that all together and make something special? Clearly, Sam Presti and the Thunder ownership were good enough to do that. They were good enough to say, we have an absurd amount of first-round picks. We know the direction that we want to go in. We're going to trade Paul George out of here and get SGA. And then, obviously, draft luck comes into that. You have to get some high-level lottery picks and hit those picks. You have to do that part as well. But they have everything pretty much that the Thunder had when they were going through their rebuild. And it's just easy to draw similarities because of the assets, because of the, not being a high market team. You have the blueprint. Can you do it?
What sucks is, I agree. Yeah, they do have the same types of assets that the Thunder did to execute their rebuild, but the problem is the Thunder still have those assets. You know what I mean? They still have the same amount of first round picks through the next 7 years that the Grizzlies just accrued. This,
and they got a
season and now,
and they got a ring to show for it, right?
Exactly. So it's
crazy.
like, man, I hate to put it this way, and I think people can tell by my tone. Like, I usually, when it comes to just full rebuilds, full-fledged rebuilds, like, I'm usually on the more pessimistic side of things. I just am.
It's hard
because it's really hard to execute time after time after time after time after time and make all the right moves. They're one wrong step. Dylan Brooks being let go, could have been, that was sort of the beginning of the slow grind to the end for this team, weirdly enough, even though I agreed with Dylan Brooks being let go when he did. But like, it's just so hard to execute well,
to make all the right moves.
Correct. And that's why I usually end up on the pessimistic side of things. But I think it's going to be very, very interesting to watch how they maneuver with all these assets, because this is a war chest. This qualifies as war chest of assets.
Sometimes war chest gets misused.
Yes.
This is the war chest. Right?
This is the war chest.
I think you guys are overthinking this real quick. I think you guys are overthinking it. Can Zach Kleiman be the guy to lead to rebuild this thing from the nuts and bolts and build it up to what we all think it can be with this war chest that they have? I don't think it's necessarily the 5 through 8 players that he hasn't gotten. It's that in the last 3 years, Ja Morant has played less games in 3 years.
No. I acknowledge that, though.
Has played less games than Zion Williamson, Anthony Davis, and Chandler Parsons when Chandler Parsons was with the Memphis Grizzlies. So we can sit here and talk.
Overthinking it, though.
So we can sit here and talk about all the players that Zach didn't go get. When your main guy is not playing games, when he is on pace to play 30 games this year in a season, when he has played 78 games in 3 years, like, I'm sorry, there is no moves in the 5 to 8 range are going to help get this team to where they need to be when your guy is not playing. And
But
that's why they're
can I ask you
rebuilding.
something? Are you saying that as far as like bad luck, bad injury luck, or lack of institutional control? Does that make sense?
Is Ja not playing? I think Ja's body is broken, honestly. Like, I think
I want to be clear. Like, I'm not overthinking it because I did acknowledge that. What I think the two sins that I pointed out is letting the wrong guys walk out the door, and also balking at the idea of bringing in vets amid all of Ja's struggles. Like there should have been some foresight in that. And the doubling and tripling down on youth, having youth around youth and no vets really to hone this thing in, to bring this thing along, that was a problem. And I think most people acknowledge that.
That's part of it, but there was 2 or 3 years before this stuff happened where there was a true window, and nothing was done in that time to capitalize on it.
Well, the window ended, like the teams that y'all are talking about, the guys that he let go, Tyus Jones, Slow-Mo, Dylan Brooks, if you want to call Dylan Brooks that, the guys that are the vet guys that you're talking about, that all ended the last year that the Grizzlies won a playoff series. That was the final year they had that team. He got hurt, had the gun issues.
Here comes Zaire Williams, David Roddy, and Jake LaRavia, and you're telling me that had nothing to do with it?
Well,
I'm not saying that Ja's injury had. Of course, Ja and all of the injuries had something to do with it, but like you can't ignore the complete failures he had in really surrounding this core with the right types of players. Even when Ja was on the floor, Bane and Jaren on the floor at the same time is good enough to win a ball game, man.
Yeah.
And I really, honestly, if we really want to pinpoint it, Roddy, Zaire, LaRavia, and then, quite frankly, the Marcus Smart trade, that played a part as well. I'm not saying it played a bigger part than Ja's injuries, but those were not the right decisions. They weren't.
Hindsight being 2020, we can say that, right? Like hindsight being 2020, you can say
that's the point of this whole thing.
No. I'm saying the way that I agree with you, getting Marcus Smart, we're saying that he didn't put the right veterans around him. He went and got Marcus Smart, who was coming off of championship run after championship run with the Boston Celtics, brought him in, and that clearly he broke his finger shooting a shot. Like I don't like he didn't play games. And so then when they had to go sign Jaren, they had to get Jaren extended, right? They had to, because they knew this dude is like 2 votes away from an all NBA thing, which makes him a supermax contract, which instead of $50 million is like $72 million a year. And so you have to get him money. And so they had to, the work, it wasn't even the Marcus Smart acquisition that was bad. It was the way in which he let him leave. But there was really no choice. Like you had to. You couldn't bring on, you had to just salary dump Marcus Smart. Like, and just so you could save money for Jaren Jackson Jr. That was
you then traded at the next trade deadline.
Right. Because it's time to blow it up.
Okay, I'm kind of confused. Are you saying he can do it or cannot? I don't know what.
I think he's saying he can, and he's saying that Ja's injury is the biggest role. And I'm not going to say I disagree with that, but I also don't think Zach Kleiman. Listen, I saw someone put this out there. Someone sent me this message, and I think I agree with this. They are good at drafting and evaluating. Yeah. Past that, I'm not sure what they're very good at.
And we said that 100 times because when we talked about this whole window deal, when it first opened, Gabe, I remember how much me and you talked about it. It was like, okay, it's there.
Before you think.
Why are we sitting back and just drafting everything? There needs to be some more aggression and more of a sense of urgency. When you have these players, you have to make the right moves to do that. We talked about that with the Zaire Williams pick. It was like, okay, yeah, it could work, but why are we still doing the developing talent thing? It's already been done.
That's fine.
This will be revisionist. Yeah. I'm just going to take y'all into where I was during even the good times of this era. Even in the good times, we never felt they were good enough to win a championship, right? I think most of us would acknowledge that. But my problem was it always felt like there was a plan for tomorrow. What are we going to do next? Like what are we going to do in the future? It was never process present oriented.
It was always down.
You know what I mean? It was always what's going to happen tomorrow. And listen, man, like I had a conversation with my dad about this. Like the thing with planning for tomorrow is tomorrow can be mythical. Tomorrow may never actually come. You talk about that, that big project you're going to get done at the house tomorrow, and you never do that shit. Like that's the problem I've had with Zach Kleiman. It's always future oriented,
right?
And there's never been this process of let's go get it. Let's buckle down and go get it. And granted, when Ja got hurt, don't go get it right then.
No, it changed.
But like it's always been, what's down the road.
Right.
Not what can we do now, and
Right.
and that's always been a frustration for me. It really has. And
I
in
think the
certain
biggest
situations, I would agree with that approach, but I thought they had. I thought in this era they, from a star player perspective, they had what they needed to really go for it.
Agreed.
I think the
And it may
biggest
never come
mistake-
again, guys. That's something we also have to acknowledge.
They got the war chest to make it happen, so
They
we'll see.
sure do.
But-
They
But
have.
you
They
got
have the
to
assets
make
to
it
do that.
happen.
But that's the thing. That's what I think. That's what I want, and I think that was my whole point. Is I want to see how did you learn from that? Because, like I said, the foundation was there. If you made the right moves, you at least had a year or two before the injuries and all the stuff off the court started happening with Ja. You had a couple years where you might have could have capitalized on something. Once again, I'm going to draw back to the Thunder one more time, and then we'll move on. You look at what they did. They sat there. They stockpiled Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams. They drafted all these guys, Josh Giddey, and realized at some point, okay, we have a lot of 20 to 25-year-olds that are amazing.
There's
But
some takers.
we need some veteran. We need to make the right moves. Josh Giddey was a really good player, but it just didn't seem to fit and all work together what they had going on. So they shipped him out for Alex Caruso. And those kind of deals are what you have to do to make it work. Gabe pointed to it earlier, and that's what you want to see. If they do get back to the point where they have a good young core of players, you have to know when to say, okay, we've got enough of that. We need the veterans. We need the pieces that'll fit together. Not let's go get to as many 18 to 25-year-olds as we can and have this super young team that can be competitive for 15 years. Because 5 years ago, we would have never thought it would have ended this quickly. But 2021, I think Jaren and Ja were 21 and Desmond Bane was 22. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is never going to end. They're going to be in conference championship after conference championship for the next 10 years. And here we are 4 years later, and it's gone. And Ja is the only one left, and I'd imagine he'll be gone by Thursday.
Yeah, and I do want to bring this up because I don't think this is an unfair comment in the slightest, because I think it's a bit of playing both sides, but I think that's fair in this situation. ZK has made mistakes, yes, but the very players we let go have not sustained that play elsewhere. But Ja was the key. It's multifaceted. So yes, I agree. Ja was the key, and he was hurt, but at the same time, there was mistakes along the way by Zach Kline that I think limited what this team's ceiling was, even in the moments where Ja was healthy and really playing his best basketball.
Yeah. All right. Couldn't agree more. That was good. Good discussion, boys. All right, let's move it on to the next topic, Kenny.
All right, next topic. Is it just me, or is my algorithm broken? Super Bowl 60 is this week, and I'm not hearing anything about it. Like,
No.
what is going on?
Kind of dead. It is kind of
Because
dead.
Bad Bunny's doing the halftime
Is
show.
it because Bad Bunny's doing the halftime show?
Yeah, dude, don't go on Twitter, man. Elon Musk is probably blocking all that shit.
Like, what is going on? Like, what is happening?
Yeah,
Like,
regardless of what outside people think, because I know.
Christian, you really care about what the media says about.
Oh yeah,
about
it
things.
means a lot
Let's,
to me.
let's talk about the media side of things before we talk about the football side of things.
Right here, yeah, let's
that's
do
what
that.
you do. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, to me, it is a fun matchup because there is a lot of I don't know what it's called in this sense, but like voter fatigue syndrome type deal. When you see the same things over and over and over again, they lose a lot of luster. And I think a lot of people felt like that with the Kansas City Chiefs and kind of what we saw over the last 4 or 5 years. And now we get something different. And like Kenny said, no one's really talking about it. It doesn't seem like a big deal. But to me, I'm excited because we have a new cast of characters, even if it is the Patriots, which we've seen 100 times in the last 20 years. Like, it is a new cast of characters. It's not the same old thing. I'm excited for Mike Vrabel because I've always had a lot of respect for Mike Vrabel. Love him as a head coach, and the fact that in year one with the Patriots, he gets there is cool to me.
It's such a cool story, dude.
Yeah, and he gets to give even though he's not, because he's very respectful for the most part, he could give the biggest middle finger to the Tennessee Titans right now for the way that they treated him and how they kind of gave him an unceremonious exit out of Tennessee when he didn't deserve it. So to see him there is cool. To see Mike McDonald, 38 years old, who was the defense coordinator for the Ravens 2 years ago, to see him get there is awesome, especially when you see like the prophetic, I don't know if y'all saw like the prophetic NFC championship video where he was talking to the team. I think it was before training camp started, his first season as a head coach, and just laying out how they would get there and how it would happen. Pretty cool.
What? I didn't see that. I need to see that. That's
It
cool.
was awesome. He was like, I think it was right before training camp 2024. and he's talking to the team about how, look, and he was saying it was going to be that year, and it ended up being the next year. But still, he was like, at the end of the season, NFC Championship, it's going to be overcast, cold, rainy, Seattle weather. Just talking about, laid literally out what happened in the NFC Championship. It was super cool.
It's pretty dope.
But we also have 2 new quarterbacks, second-year quarterback in Drake May. Incredible year. Probably going to be the runner-up for MVP. Sam Darnold, who had just been cast out by everybody and kind of proved everybody wrong last year, but people still were like, yeah, Sam Darnold's not the guy. To see him make it there is really cool. And I think it's a fun matchup. I don't think it's the most exciting matchup we could have gotten probably just because Seattle, not a very big market team for the most part. Like, they never seem to get a lot of love. But to me, I think it'll be a fun game. I think anybody that thinks that they know what's going to happen doesn't, because I would love to say that I think Seattle's going to win this game pretty handily. But at the same time, you give Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels 2-3 weeks to prepare for anything, they're going to have a phenomenal game plan. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. It should be a lot of fun, and it's different. It's something new that we haven't gotten over the last few years. So a lot of fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm in a very interesting spot too, because I think most people, and listen, I'll tell on myself. I think the Seahawks are going to win this ball game, but I think most people think that the Seahawks are just going to run away with this thing. Like, it's not even going to be particularly close. The Patriots haven't played well, and what you'll look at and you'll say, oh, well, you know, Drake May's been terrible. He has five turnovers through these 3 playoff games, and he's been sacked 15 times. But what I would say, maybe not to the 5 turnovers, but certainly to the 15 sacks, he has 2 of those games against the Broncos and the Texans, who have per capita the most premier pass rushers in the National Football League.
And the Chargers had the best pass defense.
And then the Chargers,
they
played the Chargers as well, and that's a top 5 unit in the entire NFL. I think all of those units are top 10 in the NFL. Now, the Seahawks are very good as well.
It doesn't get any easier. That's the problem.
I don't think they're quite on the level of the last 2 teams that they've played. But I do want to see. I do want to see if the Patriots can right the wrongs that they have had offensively through these 3 games here in the playoffs. I'm curious how it's going to look. I'm curious what that's gonna have to look like for them. But you know, I do, and I talked to Christian about this on the air today. I do think when or if, whatever, the Seahawks win, I think we're going to have a new superstar GM be just applauded for the next week, right? Because we had Howie Roseman when the Eagles win, and Brett Veach all the years with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think one of my favorite storylines is John Schneider and what he's been able to do with the Seattle Seahawks, their GM, for years and years and years. He was one of the architects of the Legion of Boom and those teams that almost won back-to-back Super Bowls, if it weren't for that slant there on the goal line when Marshawn Lynch was out there on 2nd and goal. But Christian, I know we talked about this, but he did not make popular moves this offseason.
No.
Traded DK Metcalf, traded Geno Smith, signed Sam Darnold, who had one really good year, to a $100 million contract. Everybody's like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
Are they going to have any chance of being successful? Now, granted, I always looked at it, and I looked at the scheme fit of Sam Darnold and everything like that, and it sort of made sense to me. But you look at all the moves he made that were unpopular, and then you look at their 22 starters. This blows my mind. I'm sure there's not a lot of teams who have this percentage of players that this qualifies for. 13 of their guys were drafted by John Schneider in the Seattle Seahawks. 13 of their 22.
That's awesome.
That's
cool.
Insanity. And when you look at their first-round picks the last 4 to 5 years, Charles Cross, Devin Witherspoon, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Gray Zabel, their left guard, who's been phenomenal so far this year. Like, you just go up and down. They have been one of the best managed teams in the National Football League, and I don't think John Schneider, their GM, has gotten near enough credit for it.
No, I agree. And I think a lot of people forget what he did the first time around when Seattle became a force and was one of the best teams in the league for 4, 5, 6 years. I think he took over in Seattle in 2010.
Yeah,
right?
He drafted Russell Wilson.
And if you think about right before that, which was 2009, which I believe they were 7-9, and they went to the divisional round game or 7-9. It was the Beastquake year, the year they beat the Saints. That team was Matt Hasselbeck. Like, that was a completely different team, right? And he comes in, and I think 2011 or 2012 really flipped it on its head. And the same draft got, what was it, Bobby Wagner, Cliff Averill, Russell Wilson. Like, just
it was a silly good draft.
Yeah, and it was very, very negatively talked about at the time. Some people said it was the worst draft of all time. Like, if you looked at all the grades and everything, it was terrible. Well, it turned that franchise around. So he very quickly took them from like a 7-9 borderline team to the best defense in the league, dominant, went to 2 Super Bowls and won one of them. But now he's kind of done it again. Like, tried to do the little mini rebuild after Russell Wilson left instead of tearing it down, bring in Geno Smith and try to float it. And even with not a super talented team, they had a pretty decent couple of years, won 10 games, and never were really championship contention. And then realized, look, we have a nucleus that can win 10 games. Like, we have a good foundation. Sent Geno out, sent DK out, brought in Sam Darnold, DeMarcus Lawrence, Ernest Jones, Cooper Kupp, some of these guys that have been integral pieces of the team this year, and took them from that to 14-3 and in the Super Bowl.
And also, like, DeMarcus Lawrence and Cooper Kupp, let's not act like the conversation going into this offseason wasn't, oh, are they over the hill? Are they ever going to be the same player? Right. Like, these were guys that they took flyers on that a lot of people thought were overpaid.
Right. And then, like you said, the most important part in the NFL is the draft. Let's look at this team. Kenneth Walker, 2nd-round draft pick. Jackson Smith-Njigba, 1st-round draft pick. A.J. Barner was a draft pick. Charles Cross, Gray Zabel, Anthony Bradford, Abraham Lucas, all draft picks.
4 of the 5 offensive.
Byron Murphy, that was a 1st-round draft pick you left out, who has been a huge hit for them.
Nicky Mamori.
Uchenna Nwosu, Devin Witherspoon. And then Nicky Mamori was a 2nd-round pick this year. Even Zach Charbonnet was a 3rd-round pick a couple years ago. Like, they have nailed the draft. Absolutely nailed it. So, yeah, big shout-out to him. Another move, underrated move. Special teams is very important. Traded for Rashid Shaheed in the middle of this year.
God. Huge. And then he's an unbelievable deep threat.
Yeah, and that move has paid dividends. It's weird for a receiver midseason to come over. It's hard to get that chemistry and work them in. And he's made some big plays on deep passes, but mainly like his special teams ability, punt return, kick returns, being able to flip the field for a team. It's
What's so impressive about that is he was not like some high-end trade deadline target. This was like a sort of middle of the line. You can get him for a reasonable price. Similar, they did, and it's one of the most important moves they made this entire season.
Similar to a lot of these moves, Gabe. Rashid Shaheed, very similar to moves with Ernest Jones, which wasn't very highly talked about. I know this was a couple years ago, but Leonard Williams, another huge part of that defense that they traded for that wasn't highly talked about, felt like he had kind of fallen off a cliff in his career, and maybe his peak was behind him with the Jets. He's just made good move after good move, and it's landed him back in the Super Bowl. And when you look at this roster, I don't know if there's one in the NFL top to bottom that's really any better.
It's solid at every single position.
Yeah, they really don't have a ton of weaknesses. Like, safety leaves a little bit to be desired with Kobe Bryant and Joy and Love, but Nicky Mamori has changed that secondary in the way that they work in the back end. You look at what Mike McDonald's done with him, and it is aces to aces what he did with Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore. He took him,
move him everywhere, let him do
Swiss Army knife. Linebacker, nickel, safety, doesn't matter. He's a playmaker, and Mike McDonald, at least for what we've seen with Kyle Hamilton and Nicky Mamori, there is no one better with Swiss Army knives than Mike McDonald and what he's done with those two. So, yes, I think John Schneider's done an incredible job. I think Mike McDonald's done an incredible job, and I think they deserve a ton of credit for how quickly they've turned into this roster into a, they're good, but they're not a competitor, so they're in the Super Bowl. Very quickly.
And favorite.
Yeah, and the favorite, the heavy favorite. Yeah, so extremely impressive what they've done.
Awesome. Well, listen, we got one more topic, and I want to do it quickly. But, Christian, tell me why the Pittsburgh Steelers hiring Mike McCarthy is your favorite NFL coaching hire of this cycle.
Oh, it's definitely not.
Oh, God, what?
Definitely not.
Roman Cleary is going to be
surprises
so
me.
upset. It's going to be
You were
so
a huge Mike McCarthy fan.
Oh.
Yeah, I love Mike McCarthy.
Well, then tell me what your favorite and least favorite NFL coaching hire is so far.
I'm gonna pull up the list here because
I have mine off the top of my head.
Okay, go ahead,
I'll
Gabe.
get it rolling. My favorite by far, to be honest with you, and this is not going to be everybody else's favorite. Everybody's going to go John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh is my favorite.
if you take mine, it'll be sad.
Jesse Minter for the Ravens. is my
You took
favorite hire.
mine.
And you can take the same one. You can give other reasons. But, man, what he did with that Chargers defense, they were 24th in total yards per game. They got to first the next season. First the next season, brother.
Yeah.
His defensive prowess is unbelievable. And what is the biggest thing the Ravens have been missing the past 2 years to pair with Lamar Jackson? Granted, he fell into some, hard times with injuries and everything else. But what's the biggest thing they've been missing? Defense. Their back end, their pass defense has been absolutely awful. Their front seven has not been up to snuff compared to what we see in the AFC North with the Baltimore Ravens on a consistent basis. Jesse Minter is going to
come back.
He's going to immediately get that back. And here's what really gives me confidence. Go through that Chargers depth chart and tell me where the stars are. There's probably one name anyone recognizes. That's Derwin James.
Yeah.
He can do it with he will find the right role for guys, put them in those roles, and figure it out from there. And when you look at the Ravens defense, yeah, they sucked. They have sucked for the past couple of years. I think that's a lot on their defensive coordinator hire this year, Zach Orr. He was horrible. But I will say they have more star power than the Chargers defense had the past 2 seasons since Jesse Minter had them top 5 and top 10 in the NFL. So I believe that defense is going to immediately turn around. And when you pair that, I don't give a damn who the OC is for real. You pair that with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry on the offensive side of the ball, give me that. I think they're immediately going to turn around. I think they're immediately going to take the AFC North crown again going into next season. I think Jesse Minter is going to be a absolute star. I think he'll sort of like the Mike McDonald comp for what he did with Seattle. I don't think that's that far off. A young defensive mind, energetic, puts his guys in the right roles, hires the right people. I think that's who Jesse Minter is going to be for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of Harbaugh in him. And it's kind of that weird connection. He coached under Jim Harbaugh.
Mike McDonald,
Michigan.
Too.
He coached under Jim Harbaugh for the Chargers. So, like, even though he has never coached with the Ravens and never coached with John Harbaugh, like, he does have that Ravens feel. He has that hard-nosed, like, defensive-minded approach. And, yes, I know John Harbaugh was a special teams coach. I'm not stupid. But he has that feel of, like, this is the perfect Ravens head coach, defensive-minded. And I like what he's done. He brought in Anthony Weaver as his defensive coordinator, who was has spent some time with the Dolphins. But I think he's a good
Doyle offensively. I got to see that.
Here's my thing.
29.
Listen to me though. When it comes to coaches, follow the breadcrumbs, right? And typically they do not lead you astray. Now, nothing's 100%. Sean Payton did not want to lose Declan Doyle to Chicago coming into this season. That tells me a lot because I respect Sean Payton as an offensive play caller heavily. And who brought him to Chicago? Ben Johnson, who I probably respect more than any offensive play caller currently in the NFL.
Right.
So if two of the best offensive minds in the NFL thought enough of this guy to have them on their staff and not want to lose him, then I think he's probably going to be pretty good. And yeah, he's 29. It's probably going to take him some time to iron out the details and everything. But when you give someone Lamar Jackson, it makes your job as an offensive coordinator a lot easier. And when you listen to Jesse Minter and what he said about this offense, he seems like someone who is doing this. He is taking his hands off of it.
It's you.
And giving it to the offensive staff and saying, look, my only requirement is that we build this offense around Lamar Jackson and his skill set. He said it plain as day in the press conference. What we're going to do offensively is build this thing around Lamar. We're going to be a defensive-minded football team that runs the ball and plays to Lamar's strengths. That is the recipe for success in Baltimore.
Correct.
So I love everything that he said.
Least favorite coaching hire.
There's a lot that I
well, dude, single one out.
Like, I'm going to be honest.
Go first again?
I'm going to be honest. I don't love McCarthy. I don't think anybody loves McCarthy, but I don't think he'll necessarily be unsuccessful.
Right.
Everywhere he's been, he's had some success.
It's just that organization so used to long-term plans. They did short-term, keep Aaron Rodgers happy. It's bizarre at 42
let's
years
go
old.
through them. Like Mike LaFleur, big question mark, big unknown, did a great job in LA, could be the next great from the McVay tree. We'll see. Question mark. Joe Brady in Buffalo, a lot of familiarity there. I figured that's where they would go.
Weird though.
I don't love it necessarily, but it makes sense. Todd Monken to the Browns, don't love that.
Better than I think the general. I think it's better than the general public.
I think
has made it, but I also don't think it's good.
It feels kind of just solid. Clint Kubiak to the Raiders. Hard to deny Clint Kubiak for what he's done with Seattle this year, so that's fine. Jeff Hafley to Miami.
Ding, 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 ding. That's the one that's my least favorite. That's disgusting.
I don't love that one.
What is that?
But it's not my least favorite. Maybe it is. But close second or tied for first, Stefanski to Atlanta, I just don't understand.
I don't like Stefanski.
I know you don't.
But what I will say, he's got the weapons to make his offense successful. Except for quarterback. Dude, Bijan and that offensive line.
I know.
That's what he is.
But guess what I would have loved to see in Atlanta? Someone like Mike LaFleur, a young, up-and-coming offensive creative mind. I would have loved to see what they did with Bijan and Drake London and that great offensive line that they have in Atlanta. Not someone who's just going to come run the zone scheme with play action.
Everybody's seen it on film. They know exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. And the one thing I will say for Mike LaFleur, I think he's probably a little bit more malleable when it comes to the quarterback position than Stefanski. Stefanski, that is my least favorite thing about that dude. He cannot, and I repeat, cannot find a way
to figure out
to mold his identity to his quarterbacks. It's always been a problem for him. Baker, Deshaun, I don't care who's been at quarterback, just cannot do it.
Yep.
The best success he had was Joe Flacco, if that tells you anything.
No, y'all tripping.
That's
Shador's a Pro Bowler.
No, Jeff Hafley is gross.
Yeah,
Jeff Hafley's gross. I mean,
like the Packers defense hasn't even been good.
Packers defense is not that great. There's nothing to write home about. Once Micah got hurt this year, they didn't have any type of pass rush. He couldn't scheme them to get pass rush.
Yeah.
And I'll also say he's not particularly young. It's not like you're taking a flyer on some young up-and-coming coach. He's just he's what, 40s going into 50s? Like he's just
I think he's like 39.
Really? Oh, he's still young? Oh,
so mid-40s is old to you, Gabe? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, chill out. You get what I'm saying. Like we have guys getting
hired you're right. You're right. He's 46.
That's what I'm saying. We have guys getting hired at 35 and 38.
So he's young and virile
within a job. Like Jeff Hafley was the coach at BC, and I don't think he did a bad job. He didn't do a particularly awesome job.
No.
Pre-NIL. So it's like I just thought that was why is he getting hired? What did he do? What did he do to deserve to get hired?
I agree. All right, boys. Well,
y'all are tripping about Stefanski because he led Shador Sanders as a Pro Bowler. So y'all tripping about. All right, sorry.
You're right. He was a Pro Bowler.
As if
did you see Justin Fields got invited to be a Pro Bowler?
Yeah, he turned it down. Yeah. Anyway, crazy times. All right. We appreciate you guys for joining us. If you are watching on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, and comment there. If you're listening via podcast, whether that's Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platform, you can do the same there. Once again, we appreciate you for joining us this week, and we will see you back here next week.
Thank you for listening to On the Bluff. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports and how you can become an insider.